Hey guys, in this video I thought we would have some fun and do a comparison between the NECA Toys Friday the 13th remake Jason Voorhees and the NECA Toys Nightmare on Elm Street remake Freddy Krueger. Now of course we've seen the two titans here go head to head with the original franchise Freddy vs. Jason, but I often wondered to myself, as having just recently looked at the Jason Voorhees and somewhat recently having a look at Freddy Krueger, how the two of the remake versions of these characters would have gone toe-to-toe. And I thought for fun, we would just do a comparison of the two figures side by side. Now I've currently got them on display stands, or one display stand I should say. It's not so much the problem with Freddy Krueger standing, but it's clearly an issue when it comes to the remake Jason Voorhees standing properly. But I think while we got them on a stand, I'll do some size comparisons here. If you've seen the individual videos, you kind of already know how tall these figures stand, but remake Freddy Krueger stands close to 7 inches tall. Remake Jason Voorhees stands closer to 8 inches tall. Now let's go ahead and take these guys. I might actually just take Freddy Krueger off his display stand, because again, Jason Voorhees, I don't know why, for some strange reason, he does not stand at all. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he's got that little cuff of pant leg that drapes over his shoes. It almost seems like it wants to push the figure further back. But I thought just as kind of a fun comparison, because you probably don't tend to see these two figures side by side, we would kind of do a little comparison, a little fun video comparing the Freddy Krueger from the remake Nightmare on Elm Street to the Friday the 13th remake Jason Voorhees. Now I think the two of them pitted one another together. I think they look like they could theoretically fit into the same universe. They come from two remakes that's of course have a slightly darker tone to them. The characters are a little bit more mature in the way that, you know, they're acting in the movie. And of course the characters themselves, your Freddy and your Jason, are a little bit more aggressive and a little less lighthearted than maybe how the original movies would have them. I think from a size-wise, on a figure standpoint, even though this is probably a versus movie we may never see, I think the two figures size-wise are pretty accurate. Derek Mears, I think his name, who plays Jason Voorhees, is a considerably tall actor, while Jackie Earle Haley is a fairly short actor. And I think this is a pretty fair representation of how the two figures would look, or two characters would look, side by side. A close look at both of their faces. Again, we've looked at these figures before, so there's nothing really differently, to this particular video. But I just kind of wanted to have a little bit of fun. I also wanted to pose this question to you guys the horror fans out there. Which remake did you like more? I know some people really kind of gravitate a little bit more towards the Friday the 13th remake as being the more superior remake. But in all honesty, I still have to give it to Freddy Krueger's outing in the Nightmare on Elm Street remake as my own personal favorite. It was flawed, yes, but I found it was not nearly as flawed as the Friday the 13th remake, which again, coupled with a series of different problems for me. It seemed like it was very slow-paced. I found it was really overly dark, so a lot of times I didn't get a chance to really get a good look at Jason Voorhees, which I know some people would say, well, it was kind of good that you didn't see Jason too much. You only really kind of saw him in the darkness. But I kind of wanted to see Jason a little bit better than what I did. And I didn't like the characters at all. I don't think there's any of the characters that I liked in the remake of Friday the 13th that I really grew attached to. Even the brother that was looking for the lost sister, I really didn't even care about that particular arc. On the other hand, looking at the remake Nightmare on Elm Street, the only thing I would say I didn't like about the movie was I didn't like who they cast for Nancy. That's the only thing I would have changed differently. She was a little too moody, and I really just didn't care for the actress that they picked for her. Jackie Earle, on the other hand, much like Derek here that played Jason, I think were great choices for both characters. Both characters looked the part, I think fit the role perfectly. And I know a lot of people look at, say, Freddy Krueger here, and they think Robert Englund. Anyone but Robert Englund, is not a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. You have to have Robert Englund for it to be a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. But to give Jackie Earle some credit, not only did I think he looked scary, but I thought he brought something a little bit different to the role of Freddy as being really a sadistic monster, even though he still kind of looked like Freddy Krueger that we grew up watching. Jason Voorhees, I think, had a more drastic change into his look, kind of coming across more like a survival, a man who's like lived in the wild, to the point where he had underground layers. And that's probably one of the other things I didn't really super like about the movie, was the fact that he had underground layers. It was good from a standpoint that you could explain where Jason would pop up from basically out of nowhere. But I found that added to one of the elements of the movie that dragged out for me was the whole searching for the sister and the sister's interaction with Jason, which I found made the movie a little bit more dragged out in its pacing. From figure standpoints, though, I think NECA delivered really good outings on both releases. Both of these figures also probably are instances where we may never ever get ourselves ultimate versions of either one of these that have superposability. In fact, I would see myself probably finding eventually an ultimate Jason Voorhees long before I would find myself an ultimate version of the Jackie Earle Freddy. I don't think NECA would ever entertain the idea of giving us a ultimate version of Freddy that had the posability in the legs. That would be a great little wish to have, but I can't see, especially with how ill-fated and received the movie was, I can't see NECA ever wanting to release this guy as an ultimate. So this guy might be the only way that we may get a Jackie Earle Haley Freddy. I would love to see Jackie Earle reprise his role of Freddy and doing a couple more sequels, but again, that probably will never ever happen. It's what's interesting about these two particular figures, and one of the reasons why I wanted to do the comparison on these two was because, again, we've seen a pairing of Freddy versus Jason before, but of course that was from the original canon, the original franchise. It's kind of neat to have the two of these together because both also represent two remakes that I don't think fans as a whole really generally liked. It seems like the consensus is that the remake of, say, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was a better received movie for what it did to the franchise. I think both of these movies, I think the fan base was a little too die-hard, that what you ended up getting was fans very, very critically panning these movies because it wasn't like the originals. I still personally like the Nightmare on Elm Street remake myself, but I know a lot of people generally like the remake of Friday the 13th more so than this one right here. This, again, was just a little small fun video. I thought, you know what? I don't think I've ever seen an instance on YouTube where somebody has put the two figures side by side. I thought it would be kind of fun because, again, we've seen the original Freddy vs. Jason, but the possibility that we could have ever seen ourselves a remake Jason versus a remake Freddy would have been quite interesting indeed. I don't think this particular Jason from the remake would have been nearly an even match, I would say, to this Freddy. I think this Jason would just annihilate this Freddy, especially if he got him into the real world. But it definitely would have, it certainly would have posed a good plausible question, like who would win between a remake Freddy and a remake Jason? And that's something else that, let me know down below. Let me know down below what remake you liked more so, the remake of Friday the 13th or the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street. And if you had the two pitted side by side, who do you think would win? And in what scenario? Maybe, I guess Freddy obviously would fare better in the dream world with Jason than how he would fare obviously in the real world against Jason. In the real world, this juggernaut would have just annihilated Freddy. Again, just a little small fun video. I thought I would throw this together. This is just a comparison between the NECA Toys Nightmare on Elm Street remake Freddy Krueger and the NECA Toys remake Friday the 13th Jason Voorhees. If you guys like these little comparison videos, let me know down below in the comments section. Of course, all these other things I asked you in the comment section as well. Certainly, if you haven't also had a chance to subscribe to this channel, that's okay. Don't be shy. Come on in. Come on in. Hit that little subscribe button down below. You won't miss a beat when it comes to future videos. And certainly more future videos are to follow in probably the next couple of days. There'll be new videos on this channel. Always new stuff coming onto this channel. Make sure, of course, you hit that little subscribe button down below so you'll never miss a beat. As always, guys, thanks for watching as you always do. I'll see you next time.